Could it be Dodge, Ram are going out of business and the CEO is gone? With car lots full of 2023 model years and a whole pile of 2024s, and there's even a couple of 2022s down at the end, Dodge dealers are now all of a sudden starting to get a whole new collection of 2025 model years, like this half-ton here, 1500 e-torque right there. Yes, a little bit differences, as you'll notice, different mirrors. We have a different set of headlights, they're much sleeker. Ram, they've got a different grille. And more importantly, what we've talked about with some of these vehicles is they're changing decal on, of course, the tailgate. As you see now, you've pretty much gotten rid of this, and now you've replaced it with Ram here in chrome. This is a 4x4, fairly basic model, as you see a 1500 e-torque, but there's the sticker. How much? 1500 Bighorn Sport Quad 4x4. So what do you have? A few basic options. This is sort of lower to middle level. We know the sales are definitely not doing very well for Ram, but this is a part of the reason why. We're looking at a price tag of $69,425. We're now almost $70,000 for a garden variety middle of the road pickup truck. Now they switched out to their turbo 6-cylinder engine, the Hurricanes, and they're literally going to lose customers there. There's been big changes at the front too. Did you hear Tim is now gone? Yes, the CEO of Dodge and Ram has basically left the room. He's now retiring after 32 years in the business, moving his way up the ranks from Stellantis, Ram, Dodge, and coming up, and has been a big proponent for bringing muscle back into a lot of the product lines. And beside this one, we have another one over here, a Ram we have all blacked out. Definitely a lot of people love for the blackout grills. This is a 1500 SST Ram here. Nice glossy mirrors, as you see there. No sunroof though, so it's clearly not a loaded up truck. I like these glossy handles, different set of wheels on there. But as we can see, we also have the Ram script. There it's chrome, there it's not. But this vehicle clearly is another level up. And what we're talking about here is a 1500 Bighorn Night Crew Cab 4x4, and this one stickers with all of its glorious options right there for 80 grand. It's not even, there's no sunroof. Well, is there leather? No, there's cloth seats in there, so it's not even that. It's a very low mid-level scale, and we're at $80,000 plus for a modern day Ram. Didn't they learn their lesson? The worst part is, Ram seems to be so out of synchronization with the buyers, typically who aren't as well heeled as people who are going out to buy the Denali GMC. Clearly, we also know Ford has typically owned the crown of the best-selling pickup truck in North America, and only slightly outdone by the GM product line between Chevy and GMC, have now slightly outdone Ford in terms of overall sales. And yet Dodge and Ram products keep rising in price, and yet they're the least desirable. What's going on? Do you think this has anything to do with the fact that the CEO is now gone and replaced with a new set of CEOs? Remember, Tim looked after Dodge as well as Ram. And now leader Christine Fuel, who is already looking after Chrysler products, is taking over the brand share of the Ram products. And now ripped out of the hands of Tim, we have Matt McClear, who's actually coming from sales, is now taking over the Dodge branding from vehicles like the Hornet, which clearly we know is more of a Stellantis product coming from Alfa Romeo. And even more so, Tim took pride and joy in developing cars like we're talking the Challengers and Chargers that bring muscle to the equation. I was looking forward to even electrifying the new Challengers and Chargers, and here we go. Now it's all coming to a close. Now this really does feel like Ram, Dodge, they're scrambling to make something out of nothing. At the end of the day, we look at all these trucks on the lot here, and there's no shortages. Remember, as trucks, cars, SUVs, they all sit on the lot. That actually costs the dealers what they call floor plans. The floor plans are essentially the credit costs to maintain these vehicles on the lot. When they get sold, like a 2022, basically the dealers end up paying the bank completely out for that vehicle. 2023, lots of credit charges yet to incur, as well as 2024's means that the more of these vehicles that we see sitting out here means that those costs are rising and incurred by the dealer. The dealers are scrambling, and the worst part is Stellantis is now pushing these additional vehicles. At approximately half of the inventory out there right now are brand new 2025s. The worst part is they haven't even sold their 22s, 3s, and 4s yet, which collectively sum up to almost half of what's out there on the market for sale. I mean, how is Ram possibly in all their infinite wisdom going to get rid of vehicles like this? We have a 2023. This is a Ram right here, and unless you really need to have the Hemi, this might be your option to get what's left of the Hemi engine. Of course, we have the e-torque here, right here, glorious, and right here we also have a sticker. And this is a 1500 Bighorn crew cab 4x4. We saw on the 25s how much they were going for. And this one here is stickering at about $78,195. So give or take, flip a coin, more or less, the dollars are very similar to get a fairly similarly spec vehicle. So where's the incentive to buy a 23 or even worse, a 2022, if they're priced at a very similar price point as a brand new 2025? They can't even sell the 25s. There's almost no 25s even selling. There's tons of them starting to hit the dealer lots, but nobody's buying. Forget about the 23s and 22s. They're basically a lost cause. And so while we're still in 2024, this is still a current generation. Although this is a 2024 model year, the 25s are basically going to shunt these vehicles. Is it GT? Yeah, we've got some cool wheels on there, and look at these little handles, quite slick. Beautiful interior on these vehicles. This is also a 1500 Hemi e-torque on this. You've got some very cool vents and grills. I do like the grill. I'm not gonna lie, it actually looks very sharp. Clearly a bit of a sport model here with all of the gloss on here, and it's blacked out. So you still get the Bighorn. You can tell that's a 24 model year. But let's take a look how much they're asking for this. It's a 1500 Sport GT Crew 4x4, and they're looking for a big time with options, 84 grand. Out the door, start putting on GST and some of the extras, and this vehicle here is going to cost you closer to $95,000 all in. And just checking here online, I see there are some incentives. So Chrysler's, Dodge, Ram, they're all gonna have to do some big things in order to get people to buy. Whether it's online, they should be showing that out on the lot. When I walk around here and I see tons of these 22, 23, and 24 model year vehicles, how do I know? Unless I go online or you sit into the dealership and then you're subject to their negotiations, which is quite unscrupulous in my opinion, from my personal experience. So you definitely want to have a lot of that intel. So check online and you'll find that some of these prices are marked down. Yes, I've seen some incentives, $10,000, $12,000, and I've even seen $18,500 down off the price of selected half-ton pickup trucks. Now, it's got to be on the very basic and the simplest of models and the ones that generally don't sell, but there are some incentives. But how much can they possibly go down? They're not even selling. Even with some of these big price slashes that Ram's been imposing, and Chrysler and Dodge and Jeep even, they're not selling enough vehicles. People will use the argument that I see these brand new trucks all over the place. Yes, they're selling, but in small numbers. Not enough for a proper business structure. Yes. Oh, look at that. We have a little, what is that? Some kind of little chicken hawk over there? We got all kinds of fowl and bird life and all kinds of goodness around here, even in the rain. The worst part is, even with the fact that all these 25s are coming out, they keep pushing them. Yes, what's actually happening is Ram, Stellantis, they're actually pushing the product out to the dealers. The dealers are saying, no, we can't handle this inventory. We can't even sell what we have. We need to do something more drastic. But yet, the manufacturer is saying, no, you're taking it. We're transferring the deeds to you so you can sell those vehicles. They're pushing them down the throats of these very dealers that are struggling to sell any of the vehicles in the first place. Clearly a recipe for a disaster in the midst of this whole cost of living crisis. This couldn't happen at a worse time. People aren't buying, they can't afford to buy. With interest rates still hovering, and there's even talk about them going reverse and putting interest rates higher. I know the Bank of Canada have already suggested that they might start to rise because people are still buying. Houses, cost of living increases in housing, food, as well as, of course, vehicles. People are still making those decisions, but sadly, it's these increased costs of sticker price of any car, truck, and SUV that are adding to this problem. The worst part is there's less and less people that have that money to buy that new vehicle, and therefore those high-priced pickup trucks are going to fall away by the dodo bird and left stuck sitting on the lot. It won't be long, and you'll see, we'll be into 2025, and you'll still see 22s sitting on the lot. So now with CEOs that are going to be handling the next series of Dodge and Rams, those are the folks that now we're entrusting in the Ram, Jeep, Stellantis products to get these vehicles back on track. But the real question is, are vehicles like this that once had a very passionate following, are these going to coexist in this world of turbo 4-cylinder engines, hybridization? Are these vehicles even going to continue on? Or even worse, are we going to start seeing full-size pickup trucks like this coming out with 4-cylinder engines and a little hybrid assist to pump up the numbers, like Mercedes-Benz and the C63S, all of a sudden a small 2-liter turbo pushing a vehicle of this magnitude? Time will tell. So we have already seen the shift from the 5.7 Hemi down to a turbo inline 6, or even a vehicle like this with the old 6.1 Hemi. Now we're seeing that the switch over to electrification. Clearly the market has shifted, and not sure the tried and true core buyers of Rams, Dodge, and Chrysler are the people that are going to be buying the very vehicles that are likely about to come out in the next few years. So with the OEM trying to thin out the herd and theft fifth. So with Stellantis trying to thin out the herd and sift through the chaff, it begs the question, where does it leave Ram? They're not selling products, they're not competitive in this current marketplace, and generally the folks that are buying the Ram products are those that are accustomed to buying a product that is a little bit lower cost. They accept some of the inefficiencies, they accept some of the durability challenges, but they're willing to buy a Ram, and they always have been, because it brings a muscular essence. But now the muscle's gone, the prices are going up, and they're no longer competitive with the likes of Ford and GM. So what is going on, and what's the future look like? I don't know. Going out of business? From my experience, anytime you do a major shuffle with CEOs and the people at the top, usually means a big shuffle coming down and big changes about to hit the market. And with all of that said, right there, what's going on with Ford? You got to check that out. That's going to tell the whole storyline. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.